Well, the wait is finally over. Final Fantasy 16, my most anticipated game of 2023, is finally here. I was able to play. Gonna give my thoughts on the game, but before we do, I want to know what you guys think. Have you been playing Final Fantasy 16? What are your initial thoughts of it, and with it being so different than the other Final Fantasy games that came prior? So like I said, I've been playing Final Fantasy 16 pretty heavily. Like, I've been playing it non-stop since I picked it up, and I'm just gonna kind of go over my brief thoughts of the game, seeing how it is really so much different compared to any of the other traditional Final Fantasy games that we have gotten in the past. So just so you guys know, I am going to avoid all major spoilers. I'm not gonna be deep diving into the story because that's something that I'm pretty sure you would want to experience on your own. I'm gonna mostly focus on the gameplay experience and the overall tone of this Final Fantasy game compared to the previous Final Fantasy game. And I want to start there because a lot of people may feel like, hey, this is so different than the turn-based Final Fantasy games that I grew up with. Now, I've been playing Final Fantasy for over 25 years. I've been a fan ever since I was in middle school. I fell in love with it with Final Fantasy 7 and Final Fantasy 8, and since then I went back and played the previous games. I own every iteration of Final Fantasy that was ever released here in North America. I am a massive Final Fantasy fan to my core, and even I was a little bit skeptical when I found out Yoshi P was taking over and it was going to be more of a Devil May Cry action-based game, and that's what the game is. I'm not going to fool you. It definitely feels like a hack and slash Devil May Cry Bayonetta type game, but I really like the direction that they went in, where it feels more like Kingdom Hearts. And that's a good thing because Kingdom Hearts has a massive fan base, and Kingdom Hearts is a JRPG that isn't focused on just turn-based combat. And we see more of these franchises getting away from the turn-based combat. And of course, I still love that stuff, and I'm glad Square Enix still releases these 2D HD turn-based JRPGs, and I hope that they continue to do that with Final Fantasy, maybe going back and doing some of the previous ones. But I think this game is going to appeal to more of the non-hardcore Final Fantasy fans, and I think that's what is really good about this. Is going to bring in more people into the Final Fantasy lore, and I'm always down with that. Now, getting into the combat and my comparison to Kingdom Hearts, I compared to Kingdom Hearts because Kingdom Hearts, you go from planet to planet, you level up like any other JRPG, but it has action-based combat. It isn't turn-based. You can dodge, you can attack, you can use magic and all that, and you can do that within this game, and I like the fact that you can do that. You still upgrade your weapons and go and you can craft stuff and upgrade your gear. It's still very much Final Fantasy in its core when it comes up to leveling up, getting gear, and there's actually skill trees where you can go and pick and choose, and all that feels so natural in this game. Hours into it, I forgot that it wasn't turn-based combat. They started experimenting with this a lot when it came to like Final Fantasy 15. Final Fantasy 7 Remake was more action focused, and I'm really enjoying what I'm playing. This game really feels like a love letter between Crisis Core and Kingdom Hearts, where Kingdom Hearts, yes, is not this giant open world. This game isn't giant open world. You can't just go anywhere and explore right out the gate. This game has a more linear feel to it, but what's really awesome about this is that once you get to a certain part in the game and you start going to these locations, you can backtrack to these locations by going to the world map, and then you can explore that entire area. And there's actually a lot of exploration that you can do. You can go back, you can level grind, you can item farm. There's all kinds of different things. So in that essence, it still feels like Final Fantasy, even though the story is much linear than stuff that we've seen in the past. In that essence, it still feels very much like a Final Fantasy game, that you still have the freedom to go back, backtrack, do side quests, and do all these different things. And I really like how the side quests and everything is kind of set, and I think it works very well. The story in this game is so compelling. I am so fascinated by each and every one of these characters. I think the icon battles are phenomenal. The boss fights are epic. Like, every time you have a boss fight, it feels massive. It feels absolutely epic, and the music in this game is phenomenal. It's like all new music, but you can see where there's hints of the original Final Fantasy music within this new music. And it just, at the end of the day, it feels like Final Fantasy, and that's what I care about most, right? Final Fantasy has always reinvented itself. You look at something from the old school Final Fantasy games and what happened with Final Fantasy 7, then they took another step with Final Fantasy 8, and then another step with 10, and then 12, and then 15. They always try to reinvent themselves, and this is a positive thing. At the end of the day, it comes down to this simple question: does this game feel like Final Fantasy? This game 100% feels like Final Fantasy, and I am having a blast playing this game, playing as Clive, learning his powers, taking on these awesome epic battles, going through, doing side quests. Everything that I loved about Final Fantasy and that made me a fan is in this game, and I'm loving every bit of it. But that is just my initial impressions after playing about 15 hours of this game. But I want to know what you guys think. Are you playing Final Fantasy 16? Are you enjoying it? What are some of the things that you like or may dislike about the game? Leave those comments in the comment box below. And until next time, as always, I am Robert Storms, and thank you for watching.